We've got breaking news out of the NFL where Giants star receiver Malik Nabers will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL. That's per multiple reports. He suffered that injury during the second quarter of Sunday's game against Los Angeles. You're looking at those pictures right now. He had to be carted off of the field. And this, of course, is a brutal blow for the former first-round pick who leads the Giants in all major receiving categories over the past 2 seasons. And taking it even further, when you talk about your first 19 career games in NFL history, Malik Nabers with 127 receptions is the second most ever, only trailing Odell Beckham Jr., of course, did it with the Giants with 133 of them. So now the Giants must try to find a path forward without Malik Nabers. Logan Ryan here with us now. And Logan, this is, of course, what we discussed in the Morning Buzz earlier today, and this is what we thought was going to happen now that it's official. It doesn't change anything, but we know he'll be out, and this is just a huge blow.
It's devastating, and that was as excited I've seen MetLife Stadium in quite some time for the Jackson Dart start. And you want to see what it's like with Jackson Dart and Malik Nabers and Scatterboo. It's like the future of the Giants, right? And what they have from the playmakers and the star players they had before, this looks like the future. And we're kind of teased and let down now. We're not going to see that until next year. And this changes everything. This changes everything you do against them defensively, offensively, schematically. This is such a massive blow.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers for him, so over the past 2 seasons, he has the largest share of any player since the start of last season entering week 4 with a 30.8% percentage of the load that he's getting those receptions. How do you even find a way to move forward? I look at the box score for who popped up and made catches yesterday, and you're this Giants offense. How do you move forward?
Well, I think what Jackson Dart's success was his ability to use his legs and run. And these receivers got to step up. You look at Wan'Dale Robinson's going to get more targets. Darius Slayton has been a guy there. He needs to be a little bit more productive. You got to look at a guy, Jalen Hyatt. He has the deep speed. But if you're playing the New York Giants now, you're not doing a light box to double Malik Nabers. There's no Malik Nabers. That extra safety's in the box. You're going to take away Scatterboo in the run game. You're going to take away Jackson Dart's legs. You're going to live with one of these receivers, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, one-on-one. And one of those guys has to step up, or Jalen Hyatt. But the quarterback running game that Jackson Dart gave you might get taken away now because that extra safety is going to be in the box.
So you look at the Giants, they're 1-3. How much do you think this maybe hurts the development of Jackson Dart, given if you're in New York, you didn't think you were going to make the playoffs, but you wanted him to be able to get those game reps with the guy who you figure is going to be your wide receiver 1 for years to come?
Well, look at these quarterbacks who come in the league and have great success early. Jaden Daniels last year had Terry McLaurin. Look at Joe Burrow's early success. He had his boy Jamar Chase. So you need that guy on the outside to the 50-50 ball. He comes down with it. That's what Malik Nabers does. The guy to go out there and break a slant and take that 70 and help your passing stats. And the guy to dictate coverage is what I've been referenced to keep the box lighter for your run game. I mean, you can throw it up there and this kid's going to make the plays for you. You don't have anyone else like that. There's no one on the roster that can replace that right now. He's got generational level talent. So I think it affects Jackson Dart's ability for having the big play right away. And like I talk about the young quarterbacks who have success in this league, Jackson Dart's missing his biggest weapon.
So if you're trying to find one sense of hope for the Giants out there, I guess you're really focused on the development of Jackson Dart moving forward. Where can you find hope in what's a negative situation?
You got to take the Josh Allen approach and spread the wealth. Now he's got to spread the ball around. They got to run it well, right? They got to get the tight ends involved. Jalen Hyatt, this is a guy that they drafted. He was unbelievable out of college. He had 4 touchdowns against Alabama. A whole bunch of potential. They haven't seen production. Now's his chance to stretch the field and get production. I think Jalen Hyatt's a guy who has to step up major.
1-3 for New York, coming off what was a big win for them last week, or yesterday, I should say, and now you have this big blow moving forward for the Giants, who will not have Malik Nabers for the remainder of the year. Keep it locked here on HQ, and we will keep it locked over at Pushing the Pile as well, because Kyle Long and Mike Renner obviously will be discussing this news and developments coming out of New York with Malik Nabers and everything else with the fallout after that. Scan that QR code. Give the fellas a listen. We've got breaking news out of the NFL. Giant star receiver Malik Nabers will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL. That's per multiple reports. He suffered that injury during the second quarter of Sunday's game against Los Angeles and had to be carted off the field. It's a brutal blow for the former first-round pick who leads the Giants in all major receiving categories over the past 2 seasons. His production is something that we've become accustomed to since he entered into the league. And this year, from a fantasy perspective, this is what he was putting up for you. About 14 points per game in PPR leagues, 2 total TDs, and maybe things were looking up and trending upwards with the emergence of Jackson Dart as a starter in New York. We now bring in our fantasy expert, Heath Cummings, to help break down this side of the story with the Nabers ACL tear. And Heath, first, I'm just going to ask you this. If you have Malik Nabers, which I do on my roster, what do you do next to try to find that production somewhere else?
Well, when you're done crying, because you're not going to find that production anywhere else, you're going to have to get a little bit creative. The truth is you're not going to go to the waiver wire, especially at the wide receiver position, and go find a guy who we're going to rank top 12 every week. So you may want to look and see, do you have a little bit of running back depth? Maybe there've only been a couple of good tight ends. Do you happen to have a couple of good tight ends, or maybe a backup quarterback that you can include with one of your other wide receivers to try to upgrade that position? But really, the truth of fantasy football is when you lose your first round pick or maybe your early second round pick in week 4 for the season, there's just no replacing that. It's time to start scrambling, getting creative, getting aggressive on the waiver wire, making your team better wherever you can.
Do you have any names immediately that you think you would target? And I'm asking for the people. I'm also asking for myself with pen here ready to write it down, whatever you might say to us.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of guys out there. Romeo Doubs had the 3-touchdown game last night. He's just rostered in 58% of CBS leagues. For the Giants specifically, Wan'Dale Robinson available in about a third of leagues. Darius Slayton available in almost all leagues. Now, those guys are all probably boom-bust number 3 wide receivers. The one thing you might be able to do, especially if you've gotten off to a fast start and you just lost Nabers, if you have a good record, is go see if there's something on your bench or maybe a combination of players that you could trade for Rashee Rice, who will be back in 3 weeks. Brandon Ayuk's another guy who maybe later in the season could help you a little bit. See if you could trade for him. See if maybe somebody's scared off by Chris Godwin's bad performance in his first game back. He still had a 25% target share. That might be a guy who could give you high-end production later in the year.
So I'm looking up and typing Jackson Dart here in the CBS Sports app to see how available he is. He's rostered in 49% of the leagues right now, started in 7%. So for those that do happen to have Jackson Dart, are you now out on bringing him out there every week as your starter?
Yeah, and I wasn't really in even with Malik Nabers, like a rookie quarterback, and we saw what Brian Dable did in this game. Like even early on, it was a very, very conservative offensive approach. He is going to do some things with his legs, Dart, so I think that will make him more valuable in leagues that only reward 4 points per pass touchdown. But in 6 point per pass touchdown leagues, he's probably a borderline starter in leagues where you start two quarterbacks, not somebody you're going to want to start in 1 quarterback leagues without Malik Nabers. 10
carries for him yesterday for 54 yards in that rushing touchdown that we just showed right there. Overall, this offense, is this maybe good news if you have Cam Skattebo, given the injury that you might think they now need to run the ball even more?
I think that is probably the biggest takeaway, because we saw in this game where the Giants, one of the rare cases where they were playing with the lead, 25 rush attempts for Skattebo. The week before, when Tyrone Tracy went down, they were playing from behind, 8 targets for Cam Skattebo. This is going to be a run-centric offense. Had 42 rush attempts yesterday, just 27 dropbacks. I do think Cam Skattebo probably a high-end RB2 until Tracy comes back, and then we'll see what that split is like when Tracy's back, but it's probably a starter the rest of the year. Cam Skattebo, the big winner.
In my league that I have Malik Nabers, I also have Cam Skattebo, so I can at least take a little bit of solace there moving forward and try to get this team right and figured out. Heath Cummings, thank you so much for the fantasy angle, always covered from beginning to the end, looking at the future of Malik Nabers and the Giants no longer having his services. Fantasy Football Today is where you can find even more of Heath. Watch now, scan the QR code, get the help you need to get a winning team every single week.